All right. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and start our 90-day burst call. We are calling you from Logan, Utah. We've been we've been in Park City and Salt Lake City with the Ascent event. Had a huge turnout from Australia. Guys, I think all up there were about 18 Aussies, 12 from our team.
Yep.
So what a massive turnout. We did all kinds of crazy stuff. We walked on glass. We broke arrows with our throat. And just got some great training from Tyler Norton and some other great people. So definitely something that you guys need to achieve, to be there. It's a remarkable experience. So what I'd like to do is just kind of get things rolling here with welcoming our guests we've got on the call. All of our panelists are silver and above, and we've got Alan Fitzgerald. Welcome to the call, Alan. We've got Mr. Mal Sword in the Brisbane area. Welcome, Al. Mr. Stevie Aquilina calling in from Sydney, and Carmel Scaringi. Welcome to the call, Carmel. And from Melbourne area, that's right. And Mark Milstein. So
from Harvey Bay.
That's right. And now we've got
our very special guest speakers. So we've got Ambassador Double Diamonds, Chuck and Tammi Gates. You're the only Ambassador Double Diamonds in ASEA right now, is that correct?
Yep.
That's right, as one of us advanced.
How exciting.
These guys are phenomenal leaders. They're always in the top 10 income earners. Last week was number 4.
Yes, congratulations, you two.
Yeah. So.
And you're $1 million club earners, and you're also global advisory board, so the advisory council as well, and
the Grand Poobah Awards.
That's right. So exactly.
No, I'm just kidding about that, but no, seriously, you guys are amazing leaders. They've blazed the trail. They've been pioneers. We've got so much to thank Chuck and Tammi for the leadership that they've provided, and we're really grateful that they've come on to share some knowledge and experience and wisdom with us.
We are, because I was saying to Chuck, Tammi, we've waited. I'm so excited about today because we've waited 9 weeks to hear from you guys, because you've been in and out of the country, you've been everywhere. So we're so thrilled that you joined us today. And I know we gave you the topic of I for invite. So did you want to go ahead and jump straight into that now, and maybe start with your ASEA story? So people on the call who don't know you can get to know you a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to start with our story and then turn it over to Chuck. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, Chuck and I have been married forever. So we've been married since we were college sweethearts. And I was raised to go to college, get as much college as you could possibly afford, and then the best job you could afford, and then have really good work ethics so that you might get raises and promotions and build your resume, and then move on to another really good job that pays you more. And so that was my mindset when I married Chuck as a college sweetheart. And he told me, oh, no, Tammi, it doesn't work that way. That will never get us our hopes and our dreams and our goals for the family life we want to have. We have to do something untraditional and out of the ordinary. So I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, and even to this day, being a success that he is still bringing ideas to the table, and he still is thinking out of the box. And in 1979, when we were married, network marketing and being raging success was certainly out of the box for my mindset. And so it brought me along over the years and just taught me, how you can live the life of your own dreams, and you can own your own life. We have 3 adult children who have been raised in this industry, and they kind of have some out of the box thinking as well. And so we met ASEA. ASEA was 6 months old about 6 years. And because of Chuck's track record and his history and working together in this industry, we instantly realized it as a premier, precious job. And so we jumped in with both feet and started telling everyone we know. And that's what we've been doing the last 6 years. And so I'm glad today's topic is invite, because Chuck has some really unique perspective on fighting. So over to you, Chuck.
Gee, thanks. So, well, it's nice to be with you all. And yeah, we are the only double Ambassador Diamonds this week in ASEA. And it's because people are breaking ranks very quickly in this, and everybody should aspire to do just that. I kind of want to talk on something that I haven't ran by Bart and Melissa, but it's something that I kind of identified a while back, and we've somewhat put it into shoe leather. And that is, well, Bart and Melissa and me and Tammy were all in another company, and in that company we actually would run into people, and I know for myself we had a couple of different products that you could get somebody a result by just throwing these down on the ground and asking them to stand on them and do a strength test, and rather than telling some of those people, it'd be a total stranger, and rather than telling them, oh yeah, it's based on this science and all of this and that, and we have upteen other products, I would have people and they'd say, wow, I like those. How much are they? I want a pair. And I would sign them up and put them in the business, and they were already in the business within 15, 20 minutes of meeting them. Or maybe it was massaging their neck or their back with a different product. And we used to call that, you could get somebody into the business, but you'd look down the road, and if you hadn't got them to maybe go to a presentation, a live presentation, if they hadn't seen any videos, if you hadn't got them on the phone, on a three-way phone call, or introduced them to other people, or taken them through their back office to see what was there, that's what we called the process. And you would look back at these people you put in, and you got them in 15 minutes, and then here it is a year later, and they've never done nothing or ordered anything else. And the reason why is because you didn't take them through the process. They hadn't experienced that. One of the things that I see in ASEA happening a lot of times is people find somebody, they get an excitement built with that person, and then they load them with all of this information that they need to go through the process before they make a decision. And it's right at the invite time, and we really can. We have something so powerful here that right as you're inviting them to take a look at what we have, you can speak to them with confidence out of your heart and share with them that they can trust you. This product's got a money-back guarantee. The product is solid. The company's solid. It's the greatest we've ever seen. And they absolutely, it's a small decision. This isn't like brain surgery that they're having to go through to make a decision to get involved at the US value of $40 to get in the system and then order some products. And so one of the things that I think is really important is that for all of us is that, yeah, we got to have people look at all of the tools that are here, but sometimes we spend so much time waiting and getting back with them rather than just say, trust me, join me, get your place in the tree. I'm talking to other people, and if you get in before them, they could actually end up underneath you. And talk to them with their best interest at heart. I wouldn't tell you this if I didn't know it could be valuable. And I know you don't understand it all yet, but trust me, you can, by just me inviting you and you getting a place in the tree in this and order some product and get it coming to you, by the time you look back on this, you know you'll have made a good decision. And under that same pretense is something that I've just started using the other night, and that is that we don't have to feel like we're twisting arms either. It's speaking with confidence and sincerity, but we can basically say, all right, yeah, you don't have to make a decision and sign up today, because this opportunity will be here tomorrow. It'll be here next week. It'll be here next year, next month, and 10 and 20 years from now. But I guarantee you, when you finally take the time to really look at what this is and get involved, you'll be wishing you did get involved right now, today, or tomorrow. And because it's that good. There's absolutely no smoke and mirrors here, no hidden agenda. And it's that good. And so we can really stand on that. And I think when a lot of us kind of take that stance of confidence in what we do have here, we can move forward even at a faster pace than what we're seeing happening already. And it's kind of one of the things that we've seen. We just had at the Envision conference here in the U.S. down in Texas, a black lady there, her name's Dorothy Cook, and they have moved people very quickly into the system, got them signed up, got them ordering product, and the people don't even know what the name of the company is. They just know that this is something that they don't want to miss, and they're talking to them with that kind of confidence. But everybody, once they do get the product and they do see what they have a hold of, they're just like all of us. They know this was a good decision. They know that they're grateful to the person that invited them. So does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely, Chuck. What you're talking about is really creating a sense of urgency, and when you create that sense of urgency, I mean, here's the reality of it, and maybe you can comment about this a little bit, because when you and Tammi made the decision, hey, we're going to build this, and we're not going to build it slow, we're going to build it big, and we're going to build it as fast as we possibly can, you created a sense of urgency. So the fact is you were talking to people about grabbing a piece of real estate because you're going to build, and because of the compensation plan, there is a first mover's advantage. So you were doing them a huge favor by saying, don't drag your feet, don't sit back and think about it, go ahead and get started now. One perfect example of that would be Ed Wayne's. You know, some people grab a piece of real estate and get on the products, and maybe they don't engage in the business. But I'd like you to maybe just comment a little bit about when you guys made the decision, that sense of urgency. You were on a conference call and says, hey, we better get in this now.
That's exactly
That's right.
true, Bart. You know, what we realized is that we've turned our field, who are prospecting, into a research engine. And everything is immensely and drastically slowed down. And so a group of us got together and started talking. What did we do when we first came in? What did we feel? What actions did we take? And we realized that we all spent our $40, and then we ordered our product. So it was basically a $40 decision. It wasn't a big decision that needed a whole lot of research. It was a $40 decision. And then we ordered our product, and now we have these promotional packs that even people can get the free enrollment and up to, you know, a 15% discount plus free products. So it's even an easier decision for them. But we made our $40 decision. We ordered product. And while we waited for our product to arrive, we learned more and we told people. And so what we're trying to do is to go back to those days where we want to encourage people and teach people, just make your $40 decision. Order your product pack while you're waiting for your product pack to arrive. Go ahead and learn more in your free time, but tell people and bring people on to the next call while you're waiting for your product to arrive. So we are actually seeing people in the last 4 days since we implemented this strategy. We have a guy who went Director 300 and earned $200 his first night. He was a guest on a call, right? So he came on as a guest. We told him about redox signaling molecules. We told him about ASEA. We told him, make your $40 decision, order your product, come back in 45 minutes for our next call, bring guests. And so the night that he ordered his product, he went director 300 and earned $200 in our comp plan.
Mhm.
So, you know, you're right about the first mover's advantage. And I think that we have slowed our own train down by mistake.
Sometimes we absolutely, and all of you know as well, ASEA, not just coming from ASEA, but because of research that's happening all around the world, is validating what we have is real, and we're the only game in the world that has it. And so the thing is when I was talking about you've got to take people through a process so they know what they really have hold of, we're taking them through the process before we get them involved. And we're waiting on them, trying to look at so much information a lot of times. And that is the thing that just to kind of give you an idea. So this is how much things have changed since we got involved. When we first got involved, there wasn't one video, not one. So there wasn't a website that we could tell them, go watch this video. We didn't have a handheld video that we could give out. And Alan Noble, who many of you have met or know, Alan was doing a Tuesday night phone call. And even when he was in Ireland, he was calling in at 3 o'clock in the morning from Ireland to make a 7 o'clock Mountain Time phone call here in the U.S. and hosting this call. And so all we had was that phone call. And that's what got us in. And we would just call people and say, hey, you need to listen to this. You need to listen to this. This is breaking, absolutely an incredible company that's just launching. You know, we've made money in network marketing before. This is the next best big thing. And people would listen to that call, and I'd tell them, if you like what you see, this is where you want to go. You can sign up on our website tonight. We've told some other people, some of them are going to make decisions tonight. And if you make a decision before they do, it's very likely they could end up underneath you, which could be very lucrative to you down the road. And just planting that carrot and that seed, there was people that took action, and there wasn't one of those people and all of those people that decided to join under that, there was none of them ever since I've been in now over 6 years that ever came back and said, you took advantage of me, or you sold me a bill of goods, or I jumped and bit and I wish I wouldn't have. They were all thanking us. We are so grateful that you told us about this and that we got involved. And that's the thing that I think has broken down, is that we aren't using the leverage of the hybrid compensation plan of what this program can lead to moving people quicker down the thing and opening the door for more people.
Hey, you know, that's really important. I want to share something with you guys that was a meeting that we happened to have yesterday, sort of somewhat coincident.
This morning.
Yeah, it was
like 1 o'clock in the morning.
We did a presentation in Salt Lake City last night, and Dan was presenting with us, Dan Doyle. We also had Nancy Thinnell, Nancy Norton, Vertus's daughter. She's married, obviously, change of last name. She shared the Genesis story from the Genesis perspective, but she had a special guest that flew in as kind of a consultant, and his name is Jeff Carlisle. Now, this guy is responsible for taking companies from mediocre success to the billion mark. He is all about creating massive momentum. So we had a meeting after the meeting, and it was one of the most powerful meetings that I've ever been able to be part of. It was just coincidental, sitting around, in the cafe afterward. And this guy talked about creating all-out massive action to begin with. Now, Chuck and Tammi, I absolutely know that that's exactly what you did, because you had some needs that needed to be taken care of. You couldn't dink around with it. You needed to create momentum. So the idea is, how do we create all-out massive action? And I want to share a couple thoughts that he said yesterday, if it's all right. One thing that he said is, and he asked us, he said, so who is the most influential person that you know? Now, this might kind of refer to making a list, but we need to invite those people, okay? So let's kind of talk about this for a second. And I want everybody on the call to think about that for a second. Who is the most influential person in your entire life that you can think of? Who is the second most influential person? You know, Danny came up with names like Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of his heroes, the former prime minister of of Australia.
John Howard.
John,
Was that?
no, Tony Abbott.
Oh, Tony Abbott.
Yeah. I think, well, maybe John Howard too. He knew, Danny used to be involved with politics, and he said, how come you haven't talked to him yet? And you think, whoa, those guys are too big, right? Well, why? What's the worst case scenario that can happen? Is that they just say no, right? Have you lost anything? The answer is, of course you haven't. Now, for those people that are just, scare the crap out of you because they're just so successful, he said the interesting thing about these successful people is they're used to leveraging their contacts for getting what they want. So the fact is that when you go to those people and say, hey, I've come across something that is pretty remarkable, they're used to being asked. He said, in fact, talking to people that are at a high level, he says it's easier for them to make decisions. I want you to kind of think of something that he also shared. He said there's a philosophy of red apples, green apples, and rotten apples. He said your red apples are people that get it, people that just figure it out and get it. They don't need to be, have 36 emails and 45 phone calls and, whatever. He said those are green apples. Those are people that take a while to ripen. And then you got your rotten apples, and the rotten apples are the people that just poo-poo network marketing or whatever it is. You're crazy. They're just rotten apples. It doesn't matter.
They're generally relatives.
Yeah, and you just make, and he just said, we just make fun of the rotten apples, and you don't have to worry about the nose because, hey, it's just a rotten apple. You don't need to worry about it. We're looking for the red apples, and you can only get to the red apples if you're talking with lots and lots of people. So it's all, believe me, guys, this is a new day. We're going to be talking with a lot more people and doing a lot more meetings and creating all-out massive action momentum, because that's when the magic happens. And Chuck and Tammi, I want you to talk about maybe just a minute how you created. I mean, you created a thunderstorm when you began. You had a massive meeting in your home. You didn't just have one or two people. You created urgency, a sense of urgency when you talked about it. Just before jumping into that, when we were talking with Jeff, for example, he said, when you got someone on board, he said, sit down with them and ask them, who are the 10 people that you have the most influence with? People that would make a decision, who would just come on board with you because they trust you. He said, who are the 10 people that are the biggest influences in your life? I mean, those are literally your chicken list. And what was the middle group? Did you remember what the middle group was? You're looking for the people that you really want to have as an asset to your team. Get that list out, identify those key people, and then if you're afraid to call those people, don't worry about it. Go upline and put them on the phone. Get them. And Mal's a master at this, with using the three-way, but that third-party perspective. So I'd like you to just talk just a little bit, Chuck, about the momentum that you created, that sense of urgency that you inspired people. It says, you got to come to our house on such and such a time. We've got a massive meeting. We've got a call that you've got to be on.
Because today's theme is I for invite. So we'd like to know how you invite.
That's right. Well, one of the things in the invite, a lot of times I just ask people, have you ever heard of a company called ASEA, or are you familiar with redox signaling? And 99% of the time it's always no, or almost 100% of the time. And this is something you deserve to know about. This has literally changed our life, and everybody knows somebody that's had complications to drugs or surgeries, and this is something you deserve to know about. I don't go into a lot of detail, and I give you a guarantee. If this is something for you, I'd be honored to work with you, and I think very highly of you. If it's not something for you, I guarantee you're going to be glad you at least know that there's a technology out there and a company that has answers to those drugs and surgeries and the complications for the person that's open-minded, because sooner or later you or someone you love is going to have a challenge. That's a slight invite. One of the things that's interesting with what you were talking about, Bart, about what Mr. Carlisle was saying, is a lot of times, we see these people on the chicken list, and it's real interesting how people handle people that are high up. Matter of fact, just someone that's actually happens to be in your group out of Florida, I just did a call with, and she's trying to get involved some professional athletes. And one of the things you find with a lot of these people is, yeah, they're up there, they're very successful in what they've done. And when you go to them with a product that's life-changing, there's a door that can open because they have only one body themselves. And it's definitely had its own problems, or someone they care has had problems. But what changes things is when they find out it's through network distribution. Because so many times those people, as soon as they hear it's coming through network marketing, it's like they don't want anything to do with it. And it's because they cannot get out of their own head thinking, if somebody knew I was doing this, they're going to think I was a failure at being a lawyer, or they're going to think I was a failure at this, and I've had to resort to doing one of those network marketing, multi-level, low-end, where other people, because they have not a concept. And so a lot of times when we approach those people, it's again doing the connector. That you probably know a lot of people that are shakers and doers, and absolutely they do. I would love to use you as a connector, and I will go down and connect those people for you. What that does to them is that they all of a sudden have a shelter. I don't have to let everybody know I'm doing it. I'll just feed them all of these people, right? Because they feel like all of a sudden they can have that exposure to that they'll just direct some people, because they figure, you know, if you're willing to do that. But sooner or later, they're going to get caught up in it and realize that this is a real business, a real opportunity, and glad. But you got to open those doors in the right way with those connectors, because when you go after the people on the chicken list, a lot of times, and we see this a lot of times with athletes, it's the same thing. Send me the product, I'll try it, I'll use it. And matter of fact, send me a couple hundred cases for my team too, and we'll all try it. But they're not going to pay for anything, you know. And matter of fact, ask your company if they'll endorse our team and do that. And it's the thing is that they're focused on their current career. They don't want to get sidetracked. If there's something that can make them better, they're open to it, but they're not going. And so there's always a bridge that we have to look at. How do we make that transition in their brain to going from here to here? And a lot of times it's why we see professional athletes that they've already had their stint being in the NFL or maybe in Aussie Football League or whatever it is, and they've retired, and now they're looking for something else to do to supplement their income, and they still love being a celebrity on the stage and everybody recognizing that who they were at one point. And so those doors open too a lot of times through those people that were past athletes.
Thanks, Chuck. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And what I might do at this stage is invite people, because we can keep the conversation going for sure on invite. But I'd also like to know for the members of the panel what your invitation looks like. What do you use, and does it vary each time? What that looks like. So, Mal, I heard you say you'd love to go first.
I heard it, Mal.
Here, I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
There you go.
So the invite that I'm using is pretty much a standard invite. Most of the calls that I make these days are for other people. And so what Chuck was just saying, to acquire a lot of lists. And so my phone call is a third party. I'll call and say, "Hi, John, it's Mal Sword. We haven't actually met before, but I'm a friend and business associate of Alan Fitzgerald, for example." And they'll normally say, "Oh, yep, how's Alan?" I said, "Alan's doing really well." I said, "Look, the reason I'm calling is that Alan and I are in the process of launching a very exciting new technology in the cellular health realm into the Australian market." I said, "It's a product that's been available in the United States for some 7 years, but we're just launching into the country, and we're expanding, and we're looking for, entrepreneurial people to join us on the team. We're not looking for capital." I always say that. We're not looking for capital, because I found over the years, whenever you phone people, they think you're after their money. I said, so we're capitalized. We're not looking for capital. Rather, we're looking for people that are motivated and keen to develop an ongoing residual income. And so, and I might say, look, Alan's mentioned that you're an entrepreneur, you're motivated and ambitious. And I said, may I ask you, are you open to looking at other income opportunities? And then I go from there. And then from there, they say, yeah, I am. Then I'll send out the information, send out the links. I agree with Chuck, though. One of the biggest challenges that I have found, and we will find, I think, is that as soon as they find out there's network marketing, even though their initial interest is high, they associate network marketing somehow with the product that can't be appropriate. They think, people say to me, well, it was so good, why are they networking it? So, I mean, that's a challenge that everybody faces. It doesn't matter who you are. So it's our capacity to be able, but some people just shut off with that. They just close off. But then if they say, look, I'm not open, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing, I said, fantastic, no problem. I said, might I ask you about your health? Or I would imagine, like me, many people that are struggling with health issues and various health issues. And I said, look, this is groundbreaking technology. It is claimed it's amongst the greatest health breakthroughs in our lifetime. So I try and go down that track as well. So as a backup, but building a business like this, most of us, we're looking for the developers, we're looking for the builders. So that's kind of my approach.
We're both racing. Thanks so much. Now, you do something really smart, and what you do is you use the same script nearly every time. Why do you do that?
Because I remember it predominantly.
Yes.
Because I have confidence in I know what I'm going to say. I think a lot of people struggle because when they don't know where to draw from. I mean, the biggest fear that most people have, I think, is the fear of contacting people. Building a business like this, predominantly we're dealing with no's. Well, maybe I'm the only one, but most times when I phone people, it's not a positive response, and it's learning to deal with that and understand that, and we go through various stages of dealing with that, I think, depending on where we're up to, emotionally and personally. But the whole business really is numbers. I mean, the other networks that we've all built, it's just the same process. It's just numbers, and having a presentation that is fairly fluent, the one that I use I'm comfortable with, and I kind of know who I'm looking for. I also know who I'm not looking for. So it's just getting a script without sounding like a parrot. When I make a phone call, like I don't sound like a parrot. It's not like sometimes people read it off a script. Sometimes I'm contacted by people and I can tell they're reading it, and it's kind of like a parrot. Hello, Mr. Sword. Yes. Oh, good morning, Mr. Sword. And how are you today? Yes, I'm really good, thank you. And it's kind of like you have a bit of fun with it. But most people, when you find, the idea is to relax as best you can. It's not always easy. It's practice, and but the idea is to, when you call, be as relaxed as you can. So you don't come across as some telemarketer or some alien or that kind of. Just be natural as you can, and then it's just being consistent with it. It's probably for most people the least favorite part of building a business, and it takes a certain level of discipline. And it's what Tony Robbins says: the pain of the pleasure. You've got to mount more pleasure from the result of doing it than the pain of doing it. So it's just having a bigger dream than the fear of getting on the phone and connecting with people. This is a very different business for me in terms of understanding how to build it, because a lot of the first business I built, it was all about making an appointment and then going and seeing people. Whereas here I'm talking to a lot of people that are remote, and so it's then trying to connect with people on the phone. And it's a skill. Whilst I'm good at opening the door, I find it easier to close people when I'm with them. So I'm learning a new skill set of being able to try and work with people or develop people who are interstate or in different parts of Australia, and I'm not going to be with them. I find it very much easier to lead people and communicate with people when I'm actually sitting down with them. And I don't want to use the word closing the sale, but moving people forward, I guess, is probably easier. So for me, it's also learning some new skill sets about how to do this on the phone and build it from home. So I'm kind of working on doing both, actually getting out and meeting more people, but obviously I can only do that in Brisbane. I can't do that when they're in Adelaide or Perth. Well, it's a little harder, it's more difficult. But the phone call is the same, and the phone call is just to try and find out if that person is open to looking. If they're not, that's fine, no problem. Just move on.
and it was really masterful the way you did that, Mal, is that the one thing that he basically started out as is he made the connection of how he's connected to a friend, for one, and then he basically let them know that, hey, not looking for capital. That just emptied the bucket, you know, because everybody's calling looking for somebody to buy something or put money into. And he said, hey, we're not looking for capital, but we are needing entrepreneurs, and your track record puts you in that category. So he's stroking that guy at that point, basically saying, you know, I think very highly of you. I'd be honored to be involved with you. And so those are absolutely critical things on the invite. And it does make the person on the other end more open to listening because they like what they're hearing. So
Definitely. Thanks, Mal. Thank you so much, Chuck. Tammi, did you have anything you wanted to add to what Mal has said? Because he definitely starts with vision, business, product. So at the very least, people end up on the products.
I also
nothing to lose.
Picked up on the numbers, working the numbers, and working 3 ways as well.
Yeah.
So Tammi, you're muted.
That's okay. We can hear back from Tammi in just a minute. Would anyone else? Stevie, you look doubly handsome today.
Are you being the school teacher or the workout buff guy?
I'm the workout buff guy. Always. Doubly handsome. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you noticed.
Definitely.
You're looking doubly beautiful over there, and looks like you've been fired up well and good from the conference you've just had. We're really excited to see you come back and bring all that energy here.
Next year Ascent is a must for anybody on this call. There's no reason you can't be there if you just gear up and go.
It's going to be at the same location, which is absolutely perfect. So we'd love to tell you more about that in just a minute, because we certainly learned a lot. And Stevie, you're right. We're bringing back some things that we are definitely implementing as changes along the lines of what Chuck and Tammi has been speaking about too. So getting back to the basics and doing what we all know we need to do in the beginning. So
yeah, that's right.
We're excited about that. So I know last time, Stevie, you were talking about with the IFA invite, you have your scripts. Your beautiful wife has written out your scripts for you. I think she's done that for you. And you've got them posted all over the place, and you stick to them. And do you mind sharing a little bit for people who didn't hear you last time, but also as an update on what you do for inviting?
Yeah, sure. Well, first I want to thank, Chuck and Tammi and Mal for their wise words. They're some of my favorite mentors. And even if they think I'm not plugging into them, I am on a consistent basis. And I've known Mal for a long time, and whether close face to face or from afar, I've always taken great inspiration from Mal, and I credit much of the presentations that I do to watching and mimicking Mal. But I, in my own personal invite, I spend my whole invite is about creating curiosity and transferring what our why is. And, I think just to touch on something that Mal said too about, when they do get, a whiff of its network marketing, they think that stinks a bit. And I find I'm creating curiosity in my invite by highlighting to them just how different and important this is. And then if they do, sort of get a bit on the back foot about the network marketing bit, which, personally I did, so I can relate to that, then I think that's where the story of where ASEA came from really becomes important, because that, really makes sense of the whole situation of why this isn't a prescription, why we're not hearing about this, from our doctor. So I cover, sort of 3 or 4 points in my invitation, and those points are that they've never seen anything like this. That it's the single greatest. Point 2 is that it's the single greatest scientific healthcare anti-aging and athletic breakthrough of all time. Point 3 is they didn't want you to know about it, meaning the story with the pharmaceutical companies. And point 4 is that it's opening up literally entirely new era in healthcare. So for me, if I have a formula, it makes it really easy for me to remember my script, my invite script. Does that make sense?
Oh, total. Because then you're coming across your tone of voice as certainty, and you're posturing yourself for success. And no doubt you've already visualized the outcome. So you've entered the call with all those, setting yourself up for the best success possible. Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm actually telling them more about what this is not, and getting them curious enough to find out what this is. And then when I've got them to that point, I'm then taking advantage of something that, Chuck and Tammi and the other pioneers couldn't take advantage of. And that's sharing with them a tool like a video that's going to do all the explaining.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's right.
Hey, thanks for sharing that. Look, I want to point out one other thing that Jeff had mentioned last night when we were talking. This can't be underemphasized. Because, like I mentioned, he's a coach that takes people, to the companies to the billion mark. And he said, Asia is going to make a massive difference. And he commented to us how lucky we are. Now, I want to point out something. This is a guy who coaches and works with lots of different network marketing companies. Some that you've heard of.
Well, he's been in the field, the most successful in his company too.
Well, yeah. In fact, I'll refrain from mentioning names, but there's some big names that you would have heard of that have gone massive growth. Anyway, he said, you guys realize how lucky you are to have a product of what it is. He completely understands and gets the power of what we've got in terms of this product. He said the compensation plan that we have is phenomenal. I mean, it's second to none. He says you guys have the best of the best. You've got a company that's rooted with incredible amount of integrity. He said, Virtus, what a class act guy. And so he just said, when you really nut all that down, nut it down to the basics, he said, right now is the time to create all-out massive action, because everything that you do, you've got a business that's making $1,000 a month. When this thing really grows in Asia, he said that'll turn into 10,000 very quickly. And if maybe you don't know anybody in Asia, but you know people who know people. You got to dig down in that network. So what we got to do, guys, is we got to invite. We got to invite more. We got to invite more often. We got to create a sense of urgency. And we got to have fun with it. We got some ideas that we're going to be implementing as we move forward. And speaking of moving forward, I think you had a couple things you wanted to mention about the event too. Did you want to go on to?
Oh, sure. We could do that now. I was going to. What actually I might do, if it's okay, is I'll just stick with the subject for a little bit longer, just to let you know as an overview that there's several ways that we can get scripting in this industry. Lots of books we can read. And Eric Worre with GoPro, page 75. When you get off this webinar, reread from 25 onwards when it comes to the 3 things that you really need to know when it comes to inviting. And I'll go through them in a second. But Mal, would you mind if I send out your script to everybody? Because I actually heard you say that script a couple of years ago and I typed it out, so I have it. Do you mind if I get that? Stevie, do you mind sending me some bullet points of your script too? That'd be great. Thanks so much to both of you. I know we'll
have a word-for-word script. I don't mind sending that out. That's cool.
Thank you. Because I know everyone's going to want to see it again on paper at least as well. So thank you very much for sharing it as well. So just a quick summary very briefly from page 25 in GoPro, because that's part of one of the core curriculum or tools for this 90-day burst. So number 1, when you're prospecting, you're the messenger, not the message. Get yourself out of the way and use a third-party tool. Number 2, learn to tell your story in a way that makes your prospects curious to learn more. Now, we can role play with people and really develop an amazing story. If you don't role play with people and you do it yourself, you can certainly make some headway, but have your upline listen to it. Practice. That's something that Jeff said. He said he says his business is so, he encourages people, and he was very successful in his own MLM business as a distributor as well, like extremely successful. So everyone has to have the same script, and they've got to read the same script, and they've got to get comfortable role playing it. So that's one way to help to make sure you're developing curiosity. He says a good story has 4 elements: your background, the things you didn't like about your background, how your company, network marketing opportunity and product came to the rescue. Number 3, when it comes to presenting in front of people, like you've heard from Chuck and Tammy, Stevie and Mal, preparation is key. So they're prepared. They're not just jumping on and making it up as they go along. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be perfect in the beginning, because Michael Oliver, in the book How to Sell Network Marketing Without Fear, Anxiety, or Losing Your Friends, he says quantity of practice is more important than quality, particularly in the beginning. So don't be hard on yourself, because your story will definitely evolve. Your invite script will evolve. He says you've got to practice with real people all of the time. You have to do it. You have to get out and do it. That's where you build your confidence. Keep your conversations relaxed. Let go of your attachment to the outcome. Don't start with the opportunity or start with that. If selling people as soon as you meet them, develop some rapport with them. And he says, go slow to go fast, which means take time and look at it as a journey of discovery and invest time in people. Now, there's a lot more bullet points that are deeper than those few highlighted ideas, but we also know we have scripts from Jeannie and Big Al Schreiter. If you want to Google him, he has some phenomenal ways of switching our wording so that people are opening to listen. Now, I know, Mal, in your script you said, are you open to, had something to do with multiple sources of income. What is it that you said there?
Are you open to looking at other forms of income or other income streams or other income opportunities?
Right. So people will more than likely say yes to that. It's a question that's worded in such a way that would have back a yes or no. Is that what you find?
Yeah, most of the time. Most people say I'd be silly if I didn't look.
Have a look.
And so yeah, it invokes a yes response. It's kind of the idea, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Big Al Schreiter's scripts are about. They're all about encouraging a yes response by the way in which you word things. So that's a little bit of background. Now I've got some little bit of recognition, and then we wanted to also do a summary of Ascent, because we are very excited that we had the opportunity to come over here. So let's do that first. Did you want to mention a little bit about it?
Yeah. It was an amazing event. We when they told us we were going to walk on 40 pounds of broken glass, I wasn't sure about that. We've done a fire walk recently, and I kind of had my head wrapped around that. But broken glass sort of freaked me out a little bit, but it was pretty wild. We all did it. There were people with tears in their eyes, just because of the breakthrough that they could do something that was, and it's really a metaphor. Hey, if you can walk on 40 pounds of broken glass, you can do anything. And no one cut their feet. There's not really a big technique, but there's a little bit of a technique to it. We took an arrow, stuck that right in our neck right here, and pressed up against a wall and broke an arrow with our neck. That was a pretty wild experience. So it's just about pushing through your fears. Every single one of us. The things. What is it that holds us back? It's fear of not being good enough or not being worthy. It's these stupid, ridiculous stories that are filling our heads. And the fact is just the best way to conquer your fear is just to take action, to just press through it, because, as we've all heard, fear is just false expectations appearing real. And, don't get, if you hear a no, you don't have to go and cry in your pillow. It's just a matter of picking up the phone and taking some actions. You might want to share a little bit from what Tyler had.
Yeah. Just before that, the whole idea, as Bart had mentioned, is for the broken glass and the arrow, you get to really tune into what the story is that you're telling yourself before you have those experiences, because you have to push through them. You don't have a choice. You're going to do it. There were a couple of people that did it because they were way too embarrassed with a room full of, I don't know how many people. How many people would have been there? 70 people. They were going to do it. They were too embarrassed not to. There were people who were really, really scared, genuinely petrified. So it's identifying the stories, and then we were taught rewrite our stories. And there was one gentleman there, he's an expert, he's a chiropractor, but he has done over 500 firewalks himself. He's a master firewalk expert, whatever that professional title is.
Teacher, trainer, all that stuff.
So he has a book for every story, and he writes a story, a one-page story for every aspect of his life. How he'd like his kids to behave, how he'd like his patients to see him, who he is as a chiropractor, and the list goes on. So for us, it would be a network marketing journey, and who we are as parents, and who we are as friends, and just every aspect of your life, who you are as a network marketer, and what your team think of you, and you rewrite your story as if you're, you know, a 5 or 6 year old, a young child, and you write everything playful in there, and you use big statements. And he showed us his book. He's got a whole collection, and Providence moves when you actually rewrite your story. So when you're getting up there ready to do this walk, or ready to break the arrow, wherever it is, standing up and talking in front of a room full of people, or making your first 3-way phone call, or sharing your testimony at a local meeting, whatever it is, you really need to rewrite those stories to give yourself the best sense of success. Now, I know Tammi knows a lot about this, because Tammy's a coach, being a life coach. I don't know if she's still on, but Chuck, is that correct? Chuck, Tammy's done life coaching?
Yes, she has. I don't know what's going on, because it shows she's still on and her line's muted. Tammi, can you?
It's all right. We'll just move on anyway, Chuck, because we're limited for time. But I know that she uses a lot of what she's learned as a life coach with her team in terms of leadership skills. So what Tyler went on to mention, which was absolutely phenomenal. Who doesn't love Tyler? He's a master teacher and trainer. And the highlight for everybody was definitely Tyler. He was talking about, in fact, what he did is there were 70 of us in the room. Everyone had to stand up. They had to say a name, and they had to mention a talent, something that was specific to them, that only they did in a certain way. And people were saying all sorts of funny, crazy things. Bart actually said talking his way out of speeding tickets. That is a talent of his. Definitely. I've never seen anyone in my life talk themselves out of speeding tickets.
And Melissa rides a Harley like the wind. She's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. And the whole idea of the exercise was so that we could learn people, get to know people, build rapport. So remember their name, and he'd go around again. He'd do a table of 10 people, and he'd go back and say, who's this person, what's their name, and what's their talent. So we can start associating and really building rapport with people, getting to know them. And Tyler's amazing, because he has, as you know, Chuck and Tammi, he can do this in a room full of 150 people in a foreign language. He can run through their names once, and he'll come back and he'll remember every single person, and he doesn't make a single mistake. He is absolutely brilliant that way. So he also then asked us to talk about an aspect of our lives where it was a challenge, one of the biggest challenges we've ever been through. And that was connecting with people's spirits. So it's name, talent, and spirit. And that way you get to change your complete opinion and view. You really get to know people. So he was teaching us that, because this is a relationship marketing. This is getting to know people and building relationships. And so we had some incredible transformations. People in the room were left that room different people as a result of this journey. So hopefully when you get to Ascent, you'll be able to experience that firsthand. But keep that in mind from what we've shared today. And he also asked us to write down the biggest lesson we've learned in our business last year. We'd like all of you to think about that as well. What's the biggest lessons that you've learned in your business? And we all shared them with each other, and it was amazing. We'll write it up and get that list out, because it all gets back to the stories in our heads usually.
He said his dad, Vertus, he said, you're entitled to make a mistake, but you better learn from the lesson. He said you can make any mistake once, but you better learn from the lesson of whatever it is. Yeah. So that was really powerful. Everybody, the whole table brainstormed. Everybody wrote down every lesson that they learned this last year. And then we shared it with the table, and then each table grabbed the 2 best ones that they had learned and shared that with the whole group. And we came up with some really powerful lessons. And one of the most powerful things, if we were to kind of summarize it, is this lesson that we just learned about learning how to connect with people. And Tyler talked about really valuing their name. Just these things that when we go back to them, we'll really be able to relate with them as a real person. They had some crazy stuff too, didn't they?
They did.
Bendy knees and
crazy.
Yeah.
And you could imagine the most popular person in the room was Dan Doyle. By the end of it, he was everyone's brother. He was everyone's friend. He was, he's a master at it. So we've all got a lot to learn from him, because he had a lot of fun with this process. And Tyler also said your influence will decrease with your team if you lack compassion. So if you're really lacking compassion and you're not putting yourself in their shoes, your influence will definitely decrease. You've got to walk the journey with them. You absolutely have to be there. So compensation plan training, nobody does that better than Justin Wilson. He actually doesn't sleep at night because he thinks compensation plan in his sleep, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
He loves it. It drives him to who he is. Anyway, he said we have to go wide. This compensation plan in ASEA, it's designed to be 70% wide, 30% deep. Doesn't mean that you don't work in depth, but you have to max out the compensation plan. You absolutely have to go wide. So rethink that as a strategy if you haven't been doing that, because it's extremely important if you want to set yourself up for long-term success. And then when you're using the same scripts and you're inviting the same way, the duplication is going to be so much easier to build in depth.
You know, it was interesting. He actually pulled up some examples, 3 examples of Diamond's businesses, and he showed how they had prospected year by year. And then he showed in depths of their group how that was duplicated. And when they stopped leading by example, you know, things kind of tapered off, and you could really see that the ones who really put in the right amount of width and created, you know, the sustainability and led by example. So we're keen. We're gonna ignite another 20 fires, enroll, you know, a whole set of new people, lead by example. And really go back and reactivate some people who we need to re-talk to, or I need to certainly talk to again. So. And
we definitely missed you all there. We were sitting there and we were thinking of each of you, thinking, you really need to have this experience. You deserve it. You owe it to yourself. And all it is qualifying at gold, 8 out of 10, a 10 rolling week period. So next year, a walk in the park for all of you on the webinar, total walk in the park. And it snowed. It was snowing, so everyone really enjoyed that, and it was a beautiful journey. So I would love to end with a couple of minutes of some recognition, which is really important, because we had some phenomenal results last week whilst we were away. Don't you love this business? It's fantastic.
Can I just say something before you move on to that?
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
One of the mottos, and I actually have a plaque that I actually bought down in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, at our ASEA Ascent adventure several years ago, and that motto is basically that: learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer learning from somebody else's mistakes. It's way too painful to learn myself. Believe me.
Yeah. So true. Thanks so much for that, Chuck. You're absolutely right. And another thing that popped in my head about Ascent, they gave us so many amazing gifts. It was extremely professionally organised, was well done, and we had an opportunity to network with leaders all around the world. So
love the swag.
Yeah, so we're very spoiled. So we're looking forward to you all having that experience. Recognition. So when it comes to Director 300s, we have, I love this part, Jack Skaran Virdi. We have Linmint Proprietary Limited, as well as Karen Johnston. So congratulations on Director 300. We have Wayne Fraser, Dawn Darby, Jane Roman. We have Carol Bark, Barb Coomer, I think it is. We also have Faye Taylor and Arjun Medaraku, Lucia Villardo, Paul Cardona, and Hong Zhu. So thank you for putting up with my pronunciations, but congratulations on going Director 300.
Well done, guys.
That's absolutely fantastic and a brilliant beginning. So Director 700s, we have Faye Pollard and Jill Hahn, along with Nicole Festa, Mauricio Munoz, and Angelica Di Paula, I believe. So congratulations on all the Director 700s. That's really starting to learn the duplication process and start to educate people on how to get there themselves in your team. So we have Silver Executive, who was on last week, Sandra Reed. She went Silver Executive basically on that call. So congratulations,
Wahoo.
Sandy. Yep, brilliant. Bronze Executive, underneath her, Francesco Di Paola. And congratulations, Francesco. And Platinum, Jeff and Akiko Wood. So congratulations, Jeff and Akiko from Sydney. We're really excited for you guys. Well done.
Massive accomplishment, guys.
And top income earners, we mentioned Chuck and Tammi Gates, number 4 in the world right now. So that was so exciting. Congratulations, both of you, last week for that. and Mauricio Munoz under top associate enroller, number 9. Emerging leaders, and if I've missed anyone on this list, I'll go over it again next week. So, number 1, emerging leaders globally, Dennis and Marcel Ferrer in Sydney, and Sandra Reed in Florida, Dan's been working with these people, and Francesco Di Paola, number 7 globally as well. And Autoship All Stars, we've got Ed and Rebecca Weens at number 9, which is fantastic because they're not on the call today because they have left for an amazing cruise through Greece. And they will be our special guest speakers next week. So we're excited to hear from them because it'll be F for follow-up next week.
That always blows my mind, those calls. 27 countries, guys. And that's a massive accomplishment from the team. So really, really well done.
Chuck, do you mind giving a little plug? You've known Trish Schwenkler for a long time. Trish and Bob are coming out to Australia next month. What's your thoughts, words of encouragement to get people to get along?
Yeah, well, Bart's actually known Trish for a long time too. And I would just, the one thing that they're at this top, the highest rung there is at this point of anybody's achieved. There's still 2 more levels above what they've hit. And so it's definitely, it's the same thing. It's like there's so much to glean by getting your people in front of them and getting there yourself. And even more so, if you can't get there, still get your people there. Because what you're going to find is if you get guests in front of Trish Schwenkler and Bob is like one of these people that, he's the back office guy. He's kind of nerdy. He's just a sweetheart of a guy. But it's also good because people come there and they meet Bob and they go, holy smokes, if this guy and his wife can be, knocking down this kind of coin and building this business, I can do it too. And that was kind of one of the people, that was in our other business. We all said that if this guy can do it, then I should be able to do it. And Trish is not, even though she's very high energy, you're not going to find that she is going to twist arms. She's not going to, put on a flamboyant type of show. Trish will get right down and speaking to people right on their own terms of why this is worth their time and why to be involved with this company. So yeah, I would just encourage you all, if get people to and direct people to whatever meetings, wherever they're going to be traveling to. One of the things that and Mel, you could absolutely do this, but I've done this before, and there's no way that, I'm not sure where all they're doing meetings, whether it's down in Perth or wherever, but the fact is though, just if you're making those phone calls, let's just start asking people right where you're at in your own community. Look at what Trish's schedule is and just start asking some of the friends you have. Maybe you don't know anybody, and that is where she's going to do a meeting, maybe is in Perth. So just start asking your friends, do you know anybody that lives down in Perth? There's going to be a meeting next month, and there's no way I can get down to it, and I know it's going to be exciting. I'd like to get some people there to evaluate it for me and see what they think of it. And they're going to say, well, what is it? And that was just your open door, because they're going to tell you, yeah, I've got a sister that lives there. I got somebody else. And now you can already open that door. Let me share this with you. I'd be glad to talk to your sister and let them know why it's worth going there. But there's no way I can get there. But, excuse me, a lot of times that is what you want to do. Be a connector. Find somebody that does know somebody that's there, and you can do that as well in other countries. It's just expanding your resources, because we all think, who do we know? But drop it there. Who do you know that you could ask, or even if it's a total stranger and they just look like someone that you want to be involved with? We all do this thing with our eyes of identifying people that we just have a feeling about. and just go up and ask them, start a conversation, do that invite thing, and then ask them, Chance, do you know anybody in Perth? And that opens up a whole new conversation to take it to another level. And the next thing, you'll have people at the Perth meeting, even though you don't know anybody there at this point.
Hey, thanks, Chuck. Really appreciate it. I want to thank all the panelists for jumping on the call.
Thank you, Tammi.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tammi, exactly. And all the panelists that have been there. Look, to us, it just feels like a brand new day. We're excited. Maybe it was part of the ascent and the conversations. But I tell you, right now, with the packs that we've got, with the enhancements to the compensation plan, with the way the points are now structured, we can absolutely triple the speed at which we're building our businesses. I really want to encourage you to take Chuck's advice here and invite a lot of people to Trish's event. If you go to the newsletter that Melissa put out, the calendar is there, and set a goal. How many people are you gonna have there? Mel, I'd ask him, but just for brevity, I'm just going to say last week he said he's going to have 150 people from his team, 50 personal there. I tell you what, set a number, set a big number, set a goal, and just say let's start inviting. Let's follow through with those people. Let's get them to that event. I'd suggest buying at least 3, if not 5 tickets. Find a home for those tickets, and then buy some more. That'd be a really great way to go. So we've got a limited amount of time. The time is going to go by so fast, and you're going to be sitting at those events and think, man, I wish I had more people here. Believe me, I've had that happen way too many times. Yeah. Right now is the time to create a sense of urgency, and let's make magic happen, guys. Thanks for taking the time to be on the call. These are important.
Thank you to all of the participants. And next week, we've decided 8 a.m. Queensland and 9 a.m. for everybody 9 a.m. onwards, depending upon where you live in the time zone. Queensland will stay at 8 o'clock. So a little bit later next week. We've only got 3 more of these webinars left in the 90-day burst series. We're going to actually maybe 4. We're going to end when we're in Hawaii in a couple of weeks with Chuck and Tammi. We'll get all of the diamonds on the line to say good day and share their pearls of wisdom with you as well. So make sure you're filling out your organisation coaching reports. If you haven't, there's a video on the website on how to do it. It's easy. It's a great way to track where you're at. Are you doing your buddy and mentor calls? And if you haven't started your 30 presentations in 30 days, make a decision, start, and have fun with it. That's a great way and probably the best thing you can do to learn your scripts. And when you're scripting, talk vision, business, and product. You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and you're out there changing lives. So we're responsible for that.
And one more big thank you to this amazing lady here. She puts a lot of time in getting this information together, getting
and messing up the time zone,
the emails out, and so we really appreciate y'all. Let's rock.
Thanks for hanging on the call for an extra long webinar this morning. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay, appreciate
Thanks,
y'all.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Chuck and Tammi.
Absolutely.